Hi everybody and welcome to New Breakpoint for today. Do we have a show for you? We're going to do a great debate today, tabs versus spaces. As always, if you'd like to join in, hop on over to our YouTube channel and use the live YouTube chat if you want to make your point, whether you're team tabs or spaces or to support your team. You can also tweet us at Microsoft AU Dev. We've been running a poll for the last half a day. I think you still have a few minutes to get in and lodge your vote for whether you are team tabs or spaces. We'll put the results up at the end of the show so we can see where everybody landed. If you do enjoy the show, please head on over and subscribe to our newsletter, just an email address and a first name. Once a month, I curate the content. If you don't enjoy it, you can always email me and complain, but I reckon you're going to enjoy it if you do sign up. As always, if you're going to collaborate as part of our community, make sure you do so with the appropriate level of respect and care and attention for other members of our community. And please make sure that you review our code of conduct when joining in. All right, so as I said, the big tabs versus space debate. We've got two great teams lined up for you today. We've got Amy and David, who are the team captains for the individual teams, but we're also joined by Matt, Dianne, Michelle, and Shaw, who are going to help debate the relative merit of whether you should program using tabs or spaces. It's an age-old debate. Do people get paid more if they program with tabs or spaces? Do you get RSI quicker if you use tabs or spaces? Well, let's find out. I'm going to bring on the team captains, David and Amy, just so we can introduce them and set the ground for our debate. So, hi Amy, good morning.
Hi, morning.
And let's get on David as well. Hey David, how are you?
Hello. Very good, thank you.
So we have David to thank for this idea. So if anyone wants to give feedback about the relative merits of tabs versus spaces, please feel free to reach out to David or me, in fact. So folks, I know we've done a lot of discussing around how we're going to do today. So let me just flick across to how we're going to approach this. So we're going to do a couple of minutes for the both of you to introduce your team's position on the relative merits of tabs or spaces. Then we'll have Dianne and Matt come in to do a rebuttal on each of those two opening points. And then finally, Shaw and Michelle will have the closing points for each of the teams. It's short, sharp and fast. I'm going to put a timer up on the screen, and when we get to the end of the timer, your spot has finished. So I hope you are ready. Are you two ready?
I'm more than ready, Simon.
I'm definitely ready.
Okay, well, I know Amy's definitely ready because it's an early morning start out in Perth there. And if you're a morning person, you probably had several cups of coffee, and it looks like it could be good weather there as well. So always a nice way to start the day. All right, let me just get my timer up on screen here. Whoops, wrong one. And where's my timer gone? All right, there's my timer. Amy, we'll see you in a minute. David? All right, I'm going to hop off the screen and I'm going to whack the timer start on this. When we get down to 2 minutes, an alarm will sound, and then Amy's going to come onto the screen, David. So you're ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get the timer up on here. All right, I'm going to start the timer and then I'll hop off the screen. So 1, 2, 3, go.
Folks, for centuries, software developers have been trying to decide, is it tabs or spaces? Well, let me settle that argument now. First of all, some languages or file formats just don't allow tabs. If you've ever used or been forced to use YAML, you know what I mean. The tab, well, it's optional, but the space, it's always required. You can't do without it. I find with a space, it gives you time to breathe. We yearn for wide open spaces. The gap between words when we read. There's a space there, we know, but we're not sure, is there a tab or not? It's hard to tell. We always know there's a space. Sometimes you might feel lost in space. Space is ace, you might even think. When Mel Brooks was writing a comedy movie, did he call it tab balls? No, he called it space balls. When the USA was creating a new arm of their defense force, it was called Space Force. Space is perfection. It's the fundamental unit. A tab is just made up of spaces. It's ASCII 32. It's hex 20. Beautiful numbers. Coca-Cola discontinued tab just last year. Would you bet on tab? No, not unless you want to lose all your money. On GitHub, space is more popular than tab. Space is the final frontier. Thank you.
All right, great job, David. Let's reset our timer and we'll get Amy on the screen. All right, Amy, let me reset this timer here to 2 minutes. And David, good opening remarks. Amy, over to you to tell us all about spaces, or tabs even, sorry.
Yeah. Now, this debate is one that is as old as time, and it's one that divides us as developers and sets teammates, friends, and even family against one another, with each person convinced that they're on the right side, despite the fact that clearly tabs is the correct answer. Using tabs to indent our code results in smaller file sizes, as we're only using one character as opposed to having to use multiple spaces. And it's literally what they're designed for. The name tab comes from the phrase to arrange data, and the tab key was first added to the typewriter to allow users to line data up correctly, as opposed to the space character, which was designed to add small spaces between words. Even the small number of languages that are sensitive to spaces for syntax, like YAML, are widely hated and avoided at all costs. Maybe if we were able to use tabs, YAML wouldn't have such a horrible reputation. But ignoring all of that common sense, tabs are also the more accessible option, as you can customize the width that they appear on your computer, which means as developers, we decide how much space we want to use. People can pretend that the choice of tabs or spaces allows us to make a personal preference, when in reality, using tabs alone is the best way to allow personal preferences, as it gives us full control over how our code looks without singling out and marginalizing members of our team. The ability to adjust tab width means that developers who use a large font size can set a smaller tab width to avoid excessively large indentations. So let us end the debate here and choose tabs so that everyone can focus on their code and instead devote their time to more important arguments like which JavaScript framework is the best.
Perfect opening. All right, Amy, hard to argue with that. Let's bring Di on. Di, I hope you've got the perfect rebuttal for that. What I'm going to do is I just quickly need to edit this timer, and I'm going to create a new one here. Let's create that one there. We've got a minute for you, Di, to rebut Amy's arguments that tabs are in fact a better option. So Di, let me start this. Over to you.
Thank you, Simon. Well, I have to start with the fact that I'm really in favour of wide open spaces. And I think spaces give us the most options. It allows us to be much more flexible in the way we can lay out our code, but also data. If you get data from somebody else or programs from somebody else that's been used with tabs, sometimes you have to guess, oh, well, how did they tab this? It's not always done the way you might have used tabs perhaps in the past. So although it can give you some more flexibility, sometimes it just makes it tough. So my thinking is that spaces is always a better option, and it causes all sorts of weird problems. I've hit them in Python before where tabs just were not recognised at all, and so spaces win.
All right, that's a great rebuttal. Next person that we've got on, and they're going to rebut the idea that spaces are good, is Matt. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Simon.
You ready to rock and roll and have a go at rebutting Di's fantastic points there?
Absolutely.
All right, so let me just get the screen back up here, and I'm going to hop off.
Great. Well, I think that it's quite clear from the arguments we've heard from Team Space already that even they don't really believe that spaces are better than tabs. They keep having to find other definitions of the word space to try and convince you that spaces are superior. And they haven't actually been able to give us any good reasons why you would use spaces for indentation rather than using tabs for indentation. As Amy pointed out, using tabs is exactly what it's designed for. By using tabs, we're accommodating other developers within our team for their own personal preferences. We allow them to configure things the way they want to see the screen, the way they want to see the world. And to me, that's just more important than having my own personal space. And that's the end of my argument.
Fantastic. I'm really impressed by everyone keeping to time on all of their points here. I know that's a debate that we could just continue ad nauseum. So next up, for closing arguments for the team spaces, it's going to be Shaw. How are you doing, Shaw?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks.
All right. So thanks, Matt. See you in a minute. And I'm just going to reset this timer here for you. And I'm going to hop off the screen. And as soon as the timer starts, over to you, Shaw, for your closing.
No worries. Well, yeah, I mean, we've had some good arguments, mostly from the spaces side. As David mentioned, Stack Overflow did a survey and they found that programmers who use spaces instead of tabs actually get paid more. So, you know, there's monetary benefit to using spaces. Di mentioned that Python gets a bit finicky if you try to use tabs because obviously they're inferior, so you're better to use spaces in Python. And, you know, scientists use Python, so they would know better. If you want to tabulate data, don't use tabs, use Excel. That's what it's made for. And, you know, spaces are displayed properly across all platforms and fonts, so that's another good reason for spaces. And also in the true life documentary Silicon Valley, Richard Hendricks, a self-proclaimed tab fanatic, nearly killed himself trying to jump down the stairs 8 steps at a time. So, you know, if you try to use tabs in real life, there are, you know, real consequences. You could hurt yourself. Yeah, that's my argument.
All right. Fantastic closing arguments. And yeah, if you haven't seen that episode of Silicon Valley, certainly recommend going and having a look at it and pay attention to stair safety, I would say. Our last guest, and maybe the most influential, can really bring this great debate home. Hi, Michelle, how are you?
I'm good. I'm just laughing at the way he has misunderstood that episode.
Oh, them's fighting words. All right. I'm going to drop you before we start another side debate here. Okay, Michelle, let me just reset the screen here for 2 seconds. And I'm going to hop off the stream. And then as soon as this timer restarts, over to you to bring it home, Michelle.
Okay. So I am a Pythonista, but I'm not super religious. I do follow the law. And in PEP 8, the creator said spaces are the preferred indentation method. But here's a thought. I say that preference is only because he is Dutch. That's a joke from PEP 20. But being married to a Belgian man, I can tell you it is not a joke. The overlying commandments are readability counts, consistency is key, but that doesn't mean use spaces for everything. It means make your code clean, make it readable. And at the heart of the commandments, I mean the PEPs, the idea is that code should be accessible to everyone, not just those with the most privilege. I can't imagine being so set in my ways that I would insist someone use dark mode, even if it meant they could not read the code within it, just because I like it more. This is the heart of the modern tabs versus spaces debate. Do we care about making our code accessible to all? Does readability only count to those that can see it most clearly? Or do we want everyone to be able to choose how they read it?
Ooh, I don't know if there was any more to go on that, but wow, that's a tough one. All right, so the audience out there, I think we've just about. We've got -1 minute left according to Twitter for our Twitter poll. I'll bring those results up in a minute. But what I am going to do is I'm going to bring everyone back on screen here because I reckon everyone deserves a round of applause for that. So give yourselves a round of applause. because that was an amazing debate, a rapid one, and one that I think will stand the test of time when people come back to review it in future. So I want to say a big thank you to Michelle, Amy, Matt, Shaw, David and Di for helping us investigate the ongoing tabs versus spaces debate. So to all of you, thank you very much. Give us everyone a wave out there in viewer land for today. I appreciate your time today. That was awesome. So hang around though and we'll have a quick chat once we're off the air. All right, so let's tidy up the screen a little bit. It's busy and it's hard when we've got so many people on the stream. All right, so how do you think we went today? Do you think that it was tabs or spaces? And let's have a quick look and see what Twitter reckons. Oh, and it's in. Here's what Twitter thinks. Twitter thinks that tabs has it at 67%. So I don't know how everyone out there in viewer land feels about that, but that's what the poll says. And we had over 100 votes. So thank you for everyone who participated in that. Tabs and spaces, it's a debate that's going to continue for time immemorial. And thank you very much for tuning in for the debate today. I did want to mention that Microsoft Build registration opened actually just yesterday. So we will be hosting a special episode of New Breakpoint during Build. Details on that will be coming up in future shows. But if you'd like to head on over and register, you can do right now if you follow that short link on screen. And the show notes will be up on our GitHub repository in a matter of moments. So thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed our great debate, and we'll see you at the next episode. Bye for now.